The first time I saw the payments, I thought my mother was being scammed. It was 3 months after my father died. I was helping her organize her finances because she had never been good with online banking. Bills were scattered everywhere, passwords were written on scraps of paper, and every time she needed to find a statement, she opened 5 different drawers before remembering where she'd put it. Then I noticed a recurring transfer. Every month, the same amount, $600, to the same person. For 18 years. The name meant nothing to me. Daniel Carter. I looked at my mother. "Mom, who is Daniel Carter?" She froze, not confused, not surprised, frozen. Then she quietly closed the laptop. "Where did you see that?" I laughed nervously. "On your bank statement." She stared at me for several seconds. "Emma, please don't ask me about that." That was the moment I knew there was something seriously wrong, because my mother had never been good at lying, and I had never seen her look afraid of a name before. I waited until she went to bed that night. Then I opened the account again. The payments went back 18 years, 216 months, more than $129,000. I stared at the number. My mother had spent more than $100,000 on a man I had never heard of, and she had never once mentioned him. The next morning I asked her again, "Who is Daniel?" She didn't answer. "Mom, if someone is taking your money, I need to know." "He isn't taking it." "Then why are you sending it?" She looked down at her coffee. "Because I promised your father." That stopped me. "My father knew?" She nodded. "And he wanted you to keep paying him?" "Yes." "Why?" She looked at me. "I can't tell you." I felt my patience disappear. "Dad has been dead for 3 months." "I know. So whatever promise you made to him is over." She shook her head. "No." "What do you mean, no?" "Some promises don't end when the person who made them dies." I didn't understand. And honestly, I was beginning to feel angry. My father had always been the center of our family. He made the decisions. He handled the money. He decided where we went on vacations, which house we lived in, and even what problems were worth discussing. But after his death, I thought I had finally gotten to know my mother as her own person. Now I realized there was an entire part of her life I knew nothing about. That afternoon, I searched Daniel Carter online. I found almost nothing. No social media, no business, no public profile. Just an address, a small house about 2 hours away. I stared at the screen. Then I did something I knew my mother wouldn't want me to do. I drove there. The house was old, white paint, small front porch, a broken flower pot near the steps. I almost turned around, then the door opened. A man stood there. He was about my father's age, maybe a little older. He looked at me, and the first thing he said was, "Your mother finally sent you." My stomach dropped. "You know my mother." He nodded. "For 18 years. I didn't know what to say. "Who are you?" He looked at me for a long moment. "I'm the reason your mother has been sending that money." "Why?" He stepped aside. "Come in." I didn't move. "I think I'd rather hear it outside." He sighed. "Fair enough." Then he said something that made my entire understanding of my family collapse. "Your father asked me to keep a secret from you." I stared at him. "My father knew you?" "Yes." "What secret?" He looked away. "Your father didn't die with only one child." I felt the blood drain from my face. "What?" He swallowed. "You have a brother." I laughed. Not because it was funny, because my brain couldn't accept what he was saying. "No. Yes. My mother has never been pregnant except once. That's what you were told." I took a step back. "Where is he?" Daniel's eyes filled with something that looked like regret. "He's in prison." Everything went quiet. "Why?" Daniel didn't answer immediately. "Because your mother asked me to keep him alive." I couldn't breathe. "What does that mean?" "He was 17 when it happened." "What happened?" Daniel looked directly at me. "He was driving the car." I felt my hands go cold. "What car?" "Your father's car." I shook my head. "No." "Your brother was driving. Your father was beside him." I stared at him. "My father died in a car accident." "Yes?" "You're saying my father didn't die accidentally?" "No." I didn't understand. "He died because your brother lost control of the car." I stepped back. "Then why was I never told I had a brother?" "Because your father made your mother promise." "Why?" Daniel looked at the road. "Because your brother survived." I stood there, waiting for him to continue. "He was 17. He panicked. He ran from the scene." My stomach turned. "He left your father there?" "Yes. And my mother knew." "She knew, and she protected him." Daniel nodded. I wanted to leave, but something stopped me. "Why did Dad agree?" Daniel's expression changed. "Because he didn't want your brother to spend his life believing he had killed him." I stared at him. "That makes no sense." "It does when you know what happened next." "What?" "Your father survived the crash." I froze. "What?" "He was alive when they found him." I felt like the ground had disappeared beneath my feet. "But he died." 3 days later. "Why?" Daniel looked at me. Because he refused surgery, I couldn't speak. He had internal injuries. The doctors wanted to operate. Your father refused. Why? Because he knew the police were looking for the driver. I felt sick. He protected him. Yes. His own son. Yes. I sat down on the curb. My father had spent his entire life telling me he had one child, me. But there had been another child, a son, a boy who had caused the accident that killed my father, a boy my father had chosen to protect. I returned home that night and confronted my mother. She was sitting in the living room when I walked in. She knew immediately. You went to see Daniel. I nodded. You have a son. She closed her eyes. Yes. I felt tears building. Why didn't you tell me? Because your father asked me not to. You keep saying that. He was dying, and I was alive. She looked at me. You were 11. I froze. I was 11? She nodded. You were too young. So when did I become old enough? She started crying. I don't know. 20? Silence. 25? More silence. 30? She covered her face. I was afraid. Of what? That you'd hate him. I laughed bitterly. You didn't even give me the chance. She looked at me. He was your brother. What's his name? She hesitated. Michael. I had never heard that name in my family. Not once. Where is he? Still in prison. For how long? 18 years. I stared at her. That's why you send the money. Yes. What does he use it for? Books, food, phone calls. Does he know about me? My mother nodded. He has always known. That hurt more than anything. Has he ever asked about me? Yes. What did you tell him? That you were happy. I looked away. Was that true? I wanted it to be. The next morning, I asked my mother for his prison number. She didn't want to give it to me, but eventually she did. I called. A guard transferred the call. Then I heard a voice. Hello? I couldn't speak. Hello? I whispered. Michael? There was a long silence. Then he said, Emma? I closed my eyes. He knew my name. Of course he knew. How do you know my voice? I've heard recordings. What recordings? Your mother used to send me birthday videos. I felt my heart crack. You've seen me grow up? Yes. Why didn't you ever contact me? Your father asked me not to. I laughed through my tears. Everyone keeps saying that. Michael was quiet. Then he said, Your father saved my life. I didn't answer. I wanted to confess. What? I wanted to tell the police what happened. Why didn't you? Because your father came to my room the night before he died. I swallowed. What did he say? He said, if you tell them, you'll spend your life believing you killed me. I closed my eyes. He knew he was dying? Yes, and he still protected you. He told me something else. What? He said, your sister deserves a brother, not a murderer. I started crying. Michael's voice broke. I've wanted to meet you my entire life. I didn't know what to say, so I asked the only question that mattered. Did you love him? Yes. Then why did you run? He was silent. I was 17, he finally said. I was scared. I saw blood. I thought he was dead. I panicked. You left him. I know. You could have saved him. I know. There was nothing I could say after that. The call ended 20 minutes later. I expected to feel hatred. Instead, I felt something much more complicated. Grief. Not only for my father. For the brother I never knew. For the childhood we never shared. For every birthday when my mother sent money to a stranger while I sat beside her, never knowing the person she was trying to keep alive was family. A month later I visited Michael. The prison visiting room was colder than I expected. He walked in wearing plain clothes. He looked at me. I looked at him, and neither of us spoke. Then he smiled. You look like Dad. I laughed. No, you do. He smiled again. Maybe that's why Mom kept us apart. We sat across from each other. He told me stories about our father. Stories I had never heard. How Dad used to sing badly in the car. How he once drove 3 hours just to buy Michael a specific pair of shoes. How he stayed awake beside his hospital bed after the accident. How, even when he knew he was dying, he asked whether Michael had eaten. I told Michael about my father teaching me to ride a bicycle. About the time he pretended not to notice when I broke his favorite watch. About the last birthday we spent together. For 2 hours we traded memories. It felt strange, like assembling a person from pieces. When it was time to leave, Michael reached across the table. I know I don't deserve a sister. I looked at him. You don't get to decide that. He looked confused. I continued. Neither of us chose what happened. His eyes filled with tears. I wish I had. So do I. I stood up, but wishing doesn't change it. I left that prison knowing something had changed. Not the past, not the sentence, not what happened to my father, but the silence. My mother continued sending Michael money, but she no longer did it secretly. Now, sometimes, she would ask me if I wanted to contribute. Sometimes I did. Sometimes I didn't. Because forgiveness wasn't a payment. It wasn't something I could force myself to feel. It was something that had to happen slowly. My mother eventually admitted that she had spent 18 years afraid that telling me the truth would destroy our family. But the truth didn't destroy us. The secret nearly did. And that taught me something I wish my parents had understood. Sometimes people hide terrible truths because they believe they're protecting the people they love. But children grow up, and when they eventually discover the truth, they don't just have to process what happened. They also have to process why everyone trusted them so little that they weren't allowed to know. Today I still have one question I haven't been able to answer. If my father had lived, would he have told me about Michael? I think he would have, eventually. Maybe when he believed I was ready. Maybe he would have waited another year, maybe another 10, but he never got the chance, and that's the cruelest part. My mother sent money to a stranger for 18 years, except he was never a stranger. He was my brother, a frightened 17-year-old who made one terrible decision. A son my father chose to protect, and a person my mother spent 18 years quietly helping because she couldn't bear to lose another member of her family. I don't know if I will ever completely forgive Michael. I don't know if my mother will ever forgive herself, but I know one thing. My father died believing that protecting his son was the right thing to do, and 18 years later, his secret finally gave me a brother. Sometimes the truth doesn't bring back the people we've lost, but it can introduce us to the people we never knew we had. And maybe that's what my father was trying to leave behind. Not a secret, not guilt, a family. If you discovered that your parent had hidden a sibling from you for 18 years, would you try to build a relationship with them? Or would the secret be too painful to forgive? Tell me what you would do. And if this story touched you, subscribe for more emotional stories about family secrets, difficult choices, betrayal, forgiveness, and the truths people carry for years. Because sometimes the person you think is a stranger has been waiting your entire life to call you family.